Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, getting ready for the biggest game in the history of Red Raider football, and we've got portal smoke swirling around Tech's top QB target. We're into it all next on Locked On Texas Tech.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. Now, the number one sports podcast network in the world. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long with the only Chris Level. I'm Casey Cowan. Great to be back with you, Chris, from Miami. We will get to the scene there and what's been going down as we're preparing for Red Raiders and Ducks New Year's Day morning from the Orange Bowl. Also preparing on the other side of that experience, Chris, for a portal window to open up, a window that we think will feature much activity once again from the good guys in Lubbock. We'll get to some of the latest from that front, and we'll also get to some smoke swirling around Tech's number one target at the QB position, one Brendan Sorsby, coming up in just a minute. But Chris, bienvenidos a Miami. I'm sure everyone is going Miami wild, whatever that means. Wife beaters and cargo shorts, or maybe a DJ Khaled outfit. I don't know what the look needs to be. But what are you seeing? I know the Red Raiders meeting with the media yesterday and just taking in all the Orange Bowl sights, to say the least. Looks like, as we talked about a couple of days ago, there is still some room for some bowl game experience and whatnot, right?
yes, there is. Yeah, a lot of hairy chests and gold necklaces down here. And there's been some yacht activity and whatnot. I've even ventured into the stone crab, okay, which was a new thing for me. Muy bien. So here we are on the cusp of I don't know, call it what it is, biggest game in program history, and it's been I've had a few conversations with people up in Oregon about their team. I've been done a couple of radio interviews up there, and it's been interesting because I. So as we talk about this game, and there's been some bowl activity and things like that. I think the guys they were over at Hard Rock Stadium and they've practicing over at Florida Atlantic. They've seen, but this is kind of a tighter bowl trip, and there's just not been a lot of. And this hotel that the team is at is just enormous. The Diplomat Beach Resort, I think is what it's called. It's got over 1,000 rooms. It's like a Vegas. Like it's just, you can get lost in here. There's a lot going on, so I think there's plenty of room for guys to see their families and all that. And there's a ton of Texas Tech people here. But as this game gets closer, and I've talked to some people at Oregon, I think there's a few things that stick out, some of which we've kind of touched on to this point. It was relayed to me that last year Oregon was good on defense, but they were giving up too many explosives. I think this is what bit them against Ohio State in the Rose Bowl a year ago. And they were kind of a Kirby Smart, Dan Lanning schematic outfit, right? That's where they were doing what Dan Lanning had learned under Kirby Smart, and like that was the scheme on defense. And I think after giving up a lot of the explosives, they've kind of ventured over to what Jim Knowles at Ohio State was doing, is what I had. I had one person tell me that, then I asked another, and they were like, "Yeah, that's what Oregon was looking to do." And what that is, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because that's it's got a little Iowa State in it from the standpoint of their. I don't know if they call it like the whole double cloud thing, but there is room underneath. There is room to run the football. I think they're pretty simple on early downs as far as they're not going to blitz you. These teams are mirror images in a lot of ways, and this is one of them. You're not having to outthink anybody on scheme or anything like that. Your front four is typically good enough to get home And so you don't have to be crazy, similar to the way Texas Tech thinks about it. So I bring all that up to say that there'll be a lot on Terrence Carter here. There'll be some room for him. I think you can run the ball some. I don't. I think the whole goal is that they're just not going to let you hit one of these explosives that you've been good with, and that's kind of the premise there. So we'll see what happens there. I think the big concern is Bear Alexander and Amari Washington in the middle. They're 2D tackles. That's where they're really good. And your three interior offensive linemen against those two that's a game within the game to watch right there. So I just wonder if you try to get Barron out of the pocket with him being more mobile, but also what am I telling you too about, because we all know what Tech's run game is. It's kind of right up the middle. It's not a ton of perimeter. So with these two really good defensive tackles, can you still do that? Do you kind of alter that? I don't know. All fair questions to ask. But Barron will need to get rid of the ball quickly.
Yeah, and I'm kind of thinking about the interior of our offensive line. It may not be this way among all three of those guys, but maybe I'm influenced by Davion Carter mostly, but I sort of view them as, I don't know if undersized is the right word, but not necessarily like huge maulers or anything along those lines. In the ground game, I guess, yeah, I think you're right. In the gaps they're hidden, but I don't necessarily, I'd have to go back, of course, and watch every film. But to me, it's always been a little bit more so like some misdirection or some trap stuff or like a counter here or there. It hasn't just been a gap. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there is that. I think Davion, he is undersized, but I think he's very technically sound. So uses that. Yes, that too. He's very technical and gets underneath you. And so I don't know. We'll just pay attention to kind of what that looks like. But and keep in mind, Oregon's got a true freshman corner that they're trotting out there. I think he's good, or he wouldn't be playing. He's a bigger kid, but do Reggie or Caleb or Coy, do they have any success there? I don't know. Just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
The Oregon plays a lot of true freshmen, which is what good teams do because they sign really good freshmen. Like the tight end that you just signed, Matt Ludwig, a few weeks ago. I say you as in Cowan. No, it's you as in Texas Tech. You're going to see him play immediately, I think, next year too. So, and then the flip side of this game, or on the other side, I've been thinking about this because we're about to get into some portal conversation, and I'm just thinking like this is quite confusing. As I'm sitting here, I'm just trying to figure out like the Texas Tech angle of everything. Your team, who's coming in, who may be leaving, all that, right? And it's a lot to process. And then you start seeing all these announcements just in the Big 12, so you can stay sharp and kind of keep up with what's going on in the Big 12. And I bring all that up to say I can't even imagine what Tosh Lupoy and Will Stein's phones have been like, or trying to manage all of that, right? And say Oregon wins this game. Are those guys like what does that look like? I mean, are you not at Cal or at Kentucky hosting visits for portal guys? I mean, like it's just there's only so many hours in the day, so I don't know. I just am bringing that up because it's now here. It's on the cusp. We're right on the edge of this whole deal, and it's a lot. So because I think you're going to have guys on campus as early as Saturday. I mean, you're going to have multiple high profile visitors on your campus this Saturday. That's 2 days after the Orange Bowl, it has taken place. And again, regardless of result, this is what is happening. And imagine if you were Kentucky or Cal, would be like, hey, man, I really know you're trying to do what's right for Oregon. However, we love you too. I mean, in fact, we're paying you too.
Paying you.
So, yeah, it's right. It's just a lot too. So I have no idea if that has any bearing on this game. It's just that's just a lot to try to deal with, and you have to be super disciplined in trying to
Yeah.
It
feels hectic with your staff intact to be doing that, much less
1,000%.
much less.
And like, think about it, Cowan. I really, it's. I mean, Texas Tech. I think Indiana.
First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel, and football is in full force, and FanDuel's keeping you stocked with action every game day with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet only $5, and if your bet hits, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Any way you like it, FanDuel has you covered. Quick, easy, and secure every time. If you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Today's episode brought to you by Open Door Financial. And if you're a Red Raider balancing family and career, you've probably thought about your financial future, retirement, getting out of debt, leaving a legacy for your kids. But here's the thing, most financial advisors just trying to sell you something, hit a quota, or they only work with clients who have huge investment minimums, and that's not how it should be done. That's where Open Door Financial Advisors comes in, doing things differently. They were founded by a 2007 Texas Tech graduate right here in Lubbock, and they've spent over 15 years serving Red Raider families across the nation with one simple mission, helping you gain financial freedom and peace of mind, no matter where you're starting from. And Chris, you've got a long relationship with Open Door Financial Advisors, and that's the thing they really love doing most, being Red Raiders that help out Red Raiders.
Yeah, Derek Finley, man, he is one of us. He is a Texas Tech guy that really wants to help Texas Tech people, and it doesn't matter where you live either, because I think he's got clients from all over. But he is based in Lubbock, and it doesn't matter. But if you're trying to get out of debt, or you're trying to man, how do I get wealthy and secure my future by saving? He can handle anything in between, all of it. But yeah, check him out. But Derek's good people, and he's a Red Raider. He's been on this journey for many years as it relates to Texas Tech. So
he knows what you're going through.
Yes.
They work on a subscription-based fee-only model, which means they're never earning commissions on anything they're selling you. So there's no hidden agendas, no investment minimums, just straightforward advice. So whether, like Chris said, it's organizing investments, crushing debt, or building a legacy that goes beyond just money, they're ready to help families of all needs and resources, all while living by West Texas values, truth, and grit. So if you're ready to work toward your big horizon, visit Open Door FA. That's opendoorfa.com to connect with Open Door Financial Advisors. Honest guidance for Red Raider families who want to take care of what matters most.
Think about it, Cowan. I really, it's. I mean, Texas Tech. I think Indiana. I might be Miami, although don't quote me on that one. But I think that there's just a few teams left that are still whole.
Gotcha.
That they haven't lost multiple key coaches or a key player. I don't know.
Well, and to be fair, Chris, when thinking about Cal or Kentucky football, they're probably like, coach, we kick off September 1st. If you can be here about a half hour before that kick, at least. We don't care. We're Cal Kentucky.
Yeah. That's
okay,
right.
we might as well dive into this before we get out of here, because I do want to touch on maybe some anticipated activity when the window does open. If you want to make this exclusively a Sorsby catch-up conversation, we can do that. Or if you want to involve other targets, positions, names, that's fine too. But I know a lot of people are asking, getting a lot of text from Matador Mobsters as it relates to smoke around Brendan Sorsby. You've called him Tech's #1 QB target. We know that there would be an all-out push to bring him to Lubbock. We also know there would be competition, and others would find him attractive as well, Chris. So can you fill us in on the latest as we sit here this New Year's Eve morning?
Yeah, I had heard this, I don't know, as we sit here talking on New Year's Eve, I'd guess I'd heard about LSU's interest, I don't know, about 4 days ago. And shame on me, but I kind of rolled my eyes at it. I just wasn't real sure. But I think in the last, say, 48 hours, it's been very serious. I think that Texas Tech is in a battle for this player. I think that is fair to say. I think it appears that LSU is looking at Sam Levitt and Brendan Sorsby first and foremost. And you have to understand here what's real, what is simply like wink wink negotiation. What is, you know, so I will say this. So I think as of right now, I think Brendan Sorsby, based on what his people are kind of, or some people around his situation are saying, he will be on Tech's campus on Saturday. Maybe that means an announcement or at some level Sunday or Monday, or it means, hey, I'm going to go take this other visit and I'll let you know. To which that point you're like, I will say that I think that it may cost you a bit more for Brendan Sorsby than you originally thought. I still think you're in a pretty good spot here, but this is no slam dunk. Here's some of the things I think you have going for you here. LSU, I think, is like having to replace the bulk, if not all, of their starting offensive line, or they're in the portal. Now, that may be in the process of doing that. That's a bit tricky. You kind of have more of a ready-made, large in part, plug and play with a lot of pieces put together. May add an offensive line piece, but you've got some wideouts, a tight end that you'll add to it. You've got a loaded backfield, and I think this is where Joey can come in to play too. Is I think Joey is, there's something to be said about going to play for Joey in the state of Texas, and there's the.
Well, what would you say about going to play for one of the biggest scumbags in the nation? Anything
well,
to be said about that?
Yeah. I think some people would run to that. Other people would run away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
Sounds
question.
like more of a Sam Levitt situation to me.
I think you're probably I would retweet that if
He's
you
a hot yoga guy.
I would,
like a hot yoga guy.
I would retweet that. So we will see that this is keep your head on a swivel season. I think if anything, this tells you that you're playing big boy poker. Nothing is a given. That it also probably tells you that maybe these NFL thoughts aren't necessarily what you need to worry about, which is, again, I think I said a couple weeks ago, that's what I thought would be the biggest concern for Texas Tech and Landon Sorsby was like an NFL draft grade. But if somebody comes in and says, "Hey, man, here's a bag," and it's more than the other guy, I mean, so it's just, again, what's real, what's not. But I do think this is a legitimate concern. But I do think you're in a good spot here. The real question I have is, okay, so if at some point it's like, yeah, we're not going that high, or we're not going to do this, okay, then what? Because I don't know who all would be involved in Tech negotiating it other than Coach Blanchard and Joey and people like Cody and John and Dusty Womble and all that stuff. But at what point do they just say, yeah, hey, good luck to you, and then a bluff is called? Okay, but then what? Like, where do you turn then? Because we can sit here and talk about the defensive end on the West Coast you're trying to bring in here, the defensive end from the Big 12 that you're trying to bring in here, the linebacker from the Big 12 you're trying to bring in here, a tight end that you really, really, really like, and a receiver from the small schools, and maybe a receiver from a big school. Okay, all of those things. A Big Ten D tackle, maybe two Big Ten D tackles. We can get into all of that, but if you don't have a competent guy under center that's ready to roll and that can lead, and it's, I don't want to say that none of the rest of it matters, but you get what I'm saying. It's like, sure. It's a bit tricky. So
that's the straw that stirs the drink.
Yeah.
Whether it's bringing other guys into the portal class or literally between the lines.
And
all this.
That's why it costs so much.
Yeah.
This particular position.
Can I go ahead and circle back to something you touched on? I wanted to ask you about some pretty, to use an industry term, damn interesting names defensively in the Big 12 Conference entering the portal. We got the lettuce guy. We got the human terror out in Salt Lake City. Are we in these conversations for a Romaine, a Daly, or were you pointing to a name that's not on my radar? Maybe.
I think Austin Romaine is in your crosshairs. I think that they're, again, nothing is a given. Things can change. I think there is mutual interest there, yes, and I think he fits exactly. It's the way I would describe that, and I've kind of bounced this off somebody else in the Big 12 because I didn't watch all of Austin Romaine's snaps, but I was definitely familiar with him before Tech playing Kansas State, and then as it's happening, I'm like, and he was doing it with one hand. He was all clubbed up, and he was. That's as close as you're going to get to maybe Jacob Rodriguez out there, which is a big time compliment. And so I think that's a potential plug and play opportunity there. And that would allow you to keep John Curry at the star. I'm sure that Austin could grow a mustache. So we'll see. We'll
And
see.
if he
But
doesn't want to, we're fine with that. We'll become the mustache next year. That's
yeah,
fine.
that you're right. You're right.
Should I spend any time thinking about Daly?
I not yet. I don't think that's the direction you're going.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
He's
I
an
don't think
incredible
that's the
player,
direction.
so I understand why we're
He
getting a lot
is.
of text about him.
Yeah, he is very good with a big time motor, and I don't know what'll happen, but I mean, I wonder how many of those Utah guys, not just Daly, but how many of those guys may go, you know what, that wing thing on the helmet in Ann Arbor may be what is in my future.
Right.
Yeah,
I can understand that. All right, Chris, before we let you get to the breakfast buffet at Live Nightclub, anything else we need to touch? I hate to pull you away from that, by the way, so I appreciate a little time from the hotel room this morning. Portal considerations or game considerations, anything else we need to include? This is our last visit before kickoff.
Yeah, it is.
Either.
Yeah, I think this game and the portal are very similar in this sense.
First, today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly feel the call of the stadium. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. And with the money you save on tickets, you can then splurge on foods, drinks, gear, and more. Gametime makes it all possible. And best of all, Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get the first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. And if you're like me, you get tired of endless scrolling trying to find the best deal, and that's why Gametime's Zone Deals is the go-to move, since it automatically picks the best seats in your section for you at the best price. And as always, you can get a view from your seat right there in the app. So before you buy, you know exactly what you're going to see. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use our code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked on College, for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed.
I think this game and the portal are very similar in this sense. Like, what kind of game do you think it'll be? What kind of game do you want it to be? And then what's the real game that will be played? I think you could look at this portal class in the same way, going, or really anything, like, okay, what do I really need? What do I want? And then what would just be gravy, like cherry on top type stuff that we don't need, but it would be fun to have, right? So I think there's a lot of talent on the field at the Orange Bowl in the morning. And there's so much talent on the defensive side of the ball that I do think that It will be a lower scoring game, generally speaking, but I don't. This isn't going to be like a 13-10 game or anything like that. But and it's worth saying that I think Oregon from a pure talent standpoint and like speed, I think they're one of the best teams left in this deal. I think there is the way I heard it phrased the other day, which I thought that this was I forgot who said it, and I was like, oh man, I totally agree with that. I think Oregon may have way more upside or higher ceiling than say Texas Tech, but Texas Tech has a much higher floor. Okay, so you just don't know what all you're going to get here. But there's so much talent on the defensive side of the ball that I just don't think you're going to see anybody just going crazy offensively. And then this is what Oregon will do, and I expect Texas Tech to do something too. This is just kind of what we've seen this year. Or Oregon's a team that'll just like if they get a touchdown, they'll just go for two for no reason. They did it 2 years ago here. Like you'll get some sort of weird special teams haymaker curveball
Just see if you're
going.
paying
Oh,
attention.
bingo! And I
Yeah.
think Texas Tech may do the same. And again, who's brave enough to call those plays? Who's brave enough to, because I mean, we knew BYU was going to do it, and they tried to do it, and it no worky, no, no, no. So the special teams aspect in this thing, not trying to be cliche-ish, but it is real. It's a natural grass field. It is actually cooler down here than you would expect. It's
That's what I thought.
everybody's walking around. Yeah, it's everybody's walking around in sweatshirts and long sleeves, and it's not unpleasant by any means. It's great, but it's going to be 60s with the wind blowing, and could be a little. So we'll be interested to see what the kicking situation all that looks like because it's an open air stadium with
Yeah.
kind of a roof or something. I don't know. It's weird. I was in there yesterday, and it's very interesting. There's an F1 racetrack around this thing. There's all these sports complexes around it. So, and there was a picture of Zach Thomas in Hard Rock Stadium, to which
It's got to
I
bode well. And I saw the
absolutely.
boys kicking it with Zebby Lethridge. You mentioned that on your
Yep.
video from the stadium. That's cool to hear.
Yep, I thought that's legit, man. He was just a guy before his time. He and Byron both. So
Yeah.
that's part. So, but yeah, that's all I've got, man. I just know this game and then the portal. It's all just we've known this was happening, but it's all just about to start. And you just hope there's a trip to Atlanta as well, which it's just going to be a lot to process.
I'd love to clog it all up with a trip to Atlanta and maybe a return
Yes.
trip to Miami. I'm fine with that if we
Yeah.
need to. And it's still Joe Robbie Stadium to me, damn it. I don't care
Yeah.
what's on the sign. And I saw the cameo from DJ Khaled. That's fine enough. But when are we going to hear from T Double D? Trick Daddy, baby. That's the king of Miami to me. I'd love to hear him shouting out the Red Raiders. Chris, if you see him, tell him Mom and them said, hey. Appreciate your time and enjoy the day. Enjoy New Year's Eve in Miami. We'll be reconvening sometime as soon as we can on the other side of the conclusion, for better or worse. And then we got a portal frenzy setting in upon us as we are hopefully preparing for another round of the college football playoffs, which is a great reason why you want to get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss a thing. Appreciate you, Chris. Enjoy the ball game. Unlike any other in the history of the program, the biggest ever day is almost upon us, man. We'll catch you on the other side.
Yeah, my last thing, man. Whatever you got going, enjoy the new year. Be safe out there, and then when it's Thursday, just no regrets. That's what you don't want to leave the stadium with, whether you're the fan or whether you're the coach or whether you're the player. No regrets, man. You don't get it back. So whatever that looks like, man, effort, taking a chance. I don't know whatever it is. Yeah, no regrets, man. So, or no regrets, as we saw in one flick. Anyway, hey man, but guns up from South Beach, man. Keep hope alive out there, everybody. We love you. We'll try to ride this train with you throughout. It's about to be a busy several days, regardless of the result of this game. And heck, man, conference play for basketball starts on Saturday. I can't. Yeah,
Correct.
it's just too much. It's just too much sometimes. But hey, man. But yeah, this is what we signed up for.
I think no regrets is a great message to pass along to everyone. And it's making me think of a good buddy of mine who's doing some time math, like probably a lot of Red Raiders are. Landing 10:30 tonight, rooftop rented out for a New Year's Eve party. And he's already telling me we should be back to the hotel room by 3 a.m. I'm going to sleep for 3 hours. I'm going to get up at 6. I'm going to rock and roll. I know he ain't the only one. So best of luck to you all out there who are doing it up, wherever you may be doing it up. We got an 11 a.m. kickoff. Let's remember that for Red Raiders and Ducks. Chris, appreciate you. Appreciate everybody for joining us on this New Year's Eve edition. A happy New Year's Eve to you all, wherever you are spending it, guns up around the world. Thank you all so much for a fantastic 2025. Has been insane to see the growth of the Locked On Texas Tech fam damly, and it's going to be an even bigger 2026. Looking forward to it all. Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thank you to the everydayers for always being out there riding along in the Matador Mob. You can hit our show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial. That's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one texts about Brendan Sorsby straight to your phone. Other subjects too. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time. We hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.